Hi, it's Heidi Sawyer. I had an amazing opportunity to spend some evening sessions with a group of extremely motivated, intuitive, sensitive people. These are people who are driven to understand the deeper meaning and purpose of their life. During these sessions, I took them along a 7-step proven path that I have walked myself and helped many others do the same. That I've done with incredible results. I'm sorry you couldn't be there, but I hope this is the next best thing. These are excerpts from the live events. Here they are. Enjoy, and I hope more importantly that you do something with them for your life moving forward. Thank you for listening.
So, as we look at it in terms of transformation, okay? So the transformation, what is it? So what is that black hole transformation? Or what it is? It's a new world of one aspect, which is strong personal care and love. Now that doesn't mean having a shower. It means proper self-care. Okay? It means knowing what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and when to adjust it, rather than waiting for it to get painful. It knows when to take action rather than wait for reaction. Okay? Because the personality only ever waits for reaction. An example would be, let's say health-wise, using this just as an example. Let's say someone's told, we'll use it as a genetic factor. Let's say someone's told that they've got a genetic predisposition to heart disease. But their favourite foods are the things that are associated with clogged arteries. Cheese, whatever the latest thing is. Now it's it's something different. You're supposed to put butter in your milk. Butter in your coffee. Yep. Because now it's got nothing to do with the fats, it's got everything to do with the sugars. So anyway, the things that clog the arteries, whatever that might be today, if we then know what that is, and we've got a genetic predisposition to heart disease, but those things are things that we really like because that's what we've been trained for. At what point is someone going to give those up? Is it going to be the point at which they've just been told that they've got a genetic predisposition? Or is it, oh, well, a little bit here and there, it's not going to do any harm? Is it going to be later on where it's very clear that they have the issue? For most people, it would be very later on when it's very clear. So why would someone wait when they've already been told that this is a possibility? Well, of course, they're going to wait because the personality says, we know what this one does, we like this, we don't know what that does. No guarantees. No guarantees, is there? So the transformation in terms of the new world of strong personal care and love means that, just using that as an example, would be, and we don't necessarily say that it's a genetic predisposition to an ill health thing. It can be something to do with how we engage with relationships, or the quality of relationships that we have, or the quality of interactions that we're prepared to have. that instead of compromising it until we have proven, so it's shown, well, actually this person is going to show this as the end result, we actually make that decision straight up. And we call that intuition. But in actual fact, what that is, what intuition is, often it's a strong personal care. And when perhaps we've gone through a stage in life where we haven't had that, or it's been climbed over a lot or sat on, there's this little squeak that comes up from underneath and says, well, in actual fact, I'm going to show you what intuition looks like, or I'm going to whack you over the head with it until you see what it looks like, and that's where you're going to aim for, and that's what you're going to work towards, because this means that you listen straight up, because we haven't got an awful lot of time to be bothered and wasting fiddling around doing the personality dance when the soul's already off on its path. Life's too short, there's too many things to fit in. Does that make sense? We're also coming to a point in time, and we are at a point in time, and you're going to see this increase hugely to a place that you don't recognize, is we're in a time now where things are speeding up, and it's not just your imagination that things are speeding up. It has got faster and faster and faster. It's energetically, as far as the vibration is concerned, life has got faster, and it's not going to slow down. And the only way for us to actually catch up is to be positioned from our intuition, because the personality's way of doing things, which is, well, if I do that and I do that and I do that and I do that, it's a linear approach, I'll have that outcome over there. Well, when things are moving that fast, that way of doing things is too slow. So it has to be that we begin to utilize our intuitive self, because the intuitive self thinks in circles. So you're thinking in circles, so you stood in the middle and you can see the options around you. If it's as a linear approach, you can only see the next bit. Okay? And then you can only see the next bit. The personality will only make a decision based on it liking the next bit. Okay? Does that make sense? But the way things are moving, there isn't time for that. There isn't time for that approach anymore. And that time it's getting faster and faster and faster and faster. So what will happen is, what I think will happen, and I'm pretty sure this will happen, is that people will be finding themselves kind of shoved very hard into the Darth experience. And it wouldn't be through knowledge, it will be through force. Because we've moved enough, and if you think about how we've evolved through thousands of years, we've evolved through taking care of ourselves, certainly in the Western world, what we need to do in order to take care of ourselves, as in the physical requirements. So what comes next? Well, what comes next is evolving the upper parts of our energy system. We know the lower parts, we know the base energy, for instance. We know how to eat in terms of going to get food, because in the Western world it's a very simple exercise. It's called the supermarket. So our physical requirements are taken care of, regardless of who a person is. The base levels are still taken care of. It's a survival mechanism that is taken care of. We don't have to go hunting for food. So it's moved, if you think about it, through thousands of years, it's moved up the chakra system. So we've moved through the sacral, industrial revolution. We've done consumerism to death. You'll find now that there are things that you like and that you have because you like them. You don't need it anymore. It's changed. The vibration has changed because you've evolved through that frequency. You don't need it as a definition of you. You have it because you like it. Okay? Does that make sense? We've moved through fear components around the solar plexus. Some people are still working through that, fear and power and all of that. We're in a fear and power vibration this year. So you're going to see that tenfold. Seeing it already. And that's going to increase. And we're only, a little bit into the year. So what I'm saying is that our vibration is moving through the system, okay, moving through our own internalized system and as an experience in the external world. Now for you, because you are ahead of everybody else, because your sensitivity pushes you ahead of everybody else, how does it push you ahead of everybody else? Because you have a much stronger awareness of your nervous system. And guess where all information gets filtered through first? And guess who's noticing what's going through there first? Okay, boop, right, boop, okay, boop, right. You get to feel it go through your system. Most people don't. And they only get to see it when it's there. You actually get a head start on it because you feel those subtleties and you feel those changes in it at an earlier stage. So what is our connection within that? What is the connection? What solves the fear component of the nervous system and us? Your intuitive side. Okay? How can you engage your intuitive side more? How can you utilize it? You have to pass through the courage consciousness aspect. Because you can't be going to the personality and going, well, no, don't think so. We don't know what the outcome is. And quite often, the personality masquerades as the soul. Because you'll make a decision for immediate relief. Okay, does that make sense? So courage consciousness, what this is about, is you making decisions not for immediate relief. You're making decisions based in the truth. Okay? And feeling okay about it. So the transformation in terms of strong personal care, that's what that means. That's what that strong personal care is that you will take yourself through something even though you don't know what the outcome is. But you trust yourself enough, you have enough faith and connection in your internal world to want to do that. Okay? And for that is the love component. So as that element of the transformation reflects our own love, of course, what happens in the external world? You then have that reflected back to you in terms of other people's love. And it's not necessarily from the source that you thought it should be from. Okay, does that make sense? It comes from different places. Now what happens is at the earlier stage of this, the personality is so obsessed with figuring what its source of love is, and that source of love has to be based on its past, that it will go back into trying to force things that don't work. Okay, does that make sense? Where in actual fact, in terms of the transformation, that personal care and that love may come from sources that you, or that your personality doesn't think actually fits. We can all go back to the whole expression of you can choose your friends kind of thing. But even on that level, it's the same indication. Okay. The transformation also creates highly productive relationships. So it means that relationships become based in something that is of quality. Now, I read something today that was really quite interesting, and it was the guy, the founder of, I think it was the founder of Facebook. And he was asked a question, and the question was, how do you choose people to employ? And his answer was, he said, I have one very simple interview question. And he said, it's in my own head. Would I want to work for them? If the answer is yes, it's someone I want to employ. So, in our own heads, I think that's quite a handy way of looking at things, in terms of how we begin to recognize what is a highly productive relationship. Okay, does that make sense? Would you want to work for you? And if the answer is no, why not? And the why not part is the truth component that you need to work on. Okay, does that make sense? Because that truth component shows up in everybody you know. The transformation in the new world is also a natural happiness, okay? And that natural happiness isn't reliant on external stimuli. It's not reliant on something happening in the external world, someone doing something that makes us happy, someone behaving in a way that we find acceptable. It means that it is just comes from a natural happiness. Okay? Now, a natural happiness, I don't think that happens without effort. Okay? I don't think that happens without the effort of personal awareness. Because you have to be self-aware in order to really know other people. You have to know yourself in order to know other people. So, or know other people, or even animals, or whatever you're interacting with. Our external world reflects our internal world at every corner, at some level or another, whether that is something we're consciously aware of, or it's an aspect of our unconscious that's trying to talk to us. Okay? But the parts that are trying to talk to us aren't always comfortable. And the courage consciousness part of things is recognizing what isn't comfortable. Okay? And then taking it in to the black hole, where you can't control the speed of that change, in order for it to create its transformation. And that transformation might be something bigger and brighter than you could ever have imagined. It is also about self-approval. Okay? When you have self-approval, you really don't worry an awful lot about what anyone else thinks. So you're then entering situations in a very neutral way, because there is no self-judgment. So it's very, if you don't have a self-judgment, it's difficult to judge others. Okay? But, okay, the suspended, so this suspended in between place, the transient state of, am I here or am I there? So the transient state between the soul and the whole self's reality, and through that challenge of death, can feel quite static. It can feel like it's not moving. Okay? So this is what people say to me. Nothing's happening. I feel blocked. What's going on? Nothing's happening. I'm doing all this work. Nothing's happening. I'm blocked. Which is really the personality having a crisis, going, I'm waiting for this outcome. Okay? But the truth is, everything is happening. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's changing. Doesn't mean it's not changing, rather. Now, I find this quite fascinating because I see this all the time. You know, someone will say to me, oh, I don't feel like I'm moving forward. I don't feel like something's changing. And maybe I haven't spoken to them for a long time, whether that's a few months or even a couple of years. And I look at them and think, what are you talking about? Because it's changed completely in their internal world. And where that has changed, and then you point it out and say, well, this has changed, that's changed, that's changed, that's changed, that's changed. And they go, oh yeah. Because it's changed at the level that it needs to change, which is in the internal world. Because until that part is complete, it cannot manifest properly in the external world. Because what happens is, by the time you get to this stage, you're in it for the long haul. It's not about temporary stuff. Okay? Does that make sense? Because your world has changed from it being an external stimuli to an internal stimuli. So when something changes in the external world and it's only for a short period of time, your internal world's not really interested in it, because it's just pacifying the personality. It goes, oh yeah, whatever. And we're looking for the long bit. Okay? So, and that suspended place, and I know exactly what that suspended place is, it does feel, or you think that nothing is changing. Okay? But in actual fact, everything is changing. But in the physical world, it takes a while to catch up. And guess when it catches up? Catches up when you don't care. It catches up when you're not attached to outcome. It catches up when you've stepped out of the personality into the circle thinking. Okay? Because the circle thinking with you in the middle, it's just fluid. It moves. It changes. Okay? It isn't a fixed outcome, because your outcome becomes choice, because you've got so many things of equal importance. Okay? But the internal world can only see, here to here to here to here when it's fixed around the personality. Okay? So, how do we fast track it? Okay, so how do we fast track courage consciousness? So how do you fast track? Basically, the ability to see your life clearly. Okay? To feel naturally happy. To feel love. But to feel love as the unconditional vibration. Okay? You take a deep breath. Okay? You hold your nose, metaphorical of course, and you can see where you're going. You step off into the black hole, okay? But going into the black hole takes courage. Why does it take courage? Because it's the unknown. You don't know what's in that black hole. I don't know what's in there. I can't tell you what's in there. Because it's a fast energy. I can tell you exactly what the personality expects next. Because that's easy. Go on. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples that I can think of actually along these lines. I'll give you examples of relationships because it's an easy thing to identify with. I have a person who I talk to really quite regularly who they have they're single, but they sort of find themselves getting involved with situations that I find quite amusing, to be honest with you, because they are a caricature. And this is a guy who has no issues at all attracting female attention, but the female attention that he attracts is really quite interesting. So what he does is he sends me photographs, right? And says, "What do you think?" And these are, really very stunning women. And he sends me these photographs, and I open them. And he said, "What do you think? What do you think?" No, that one has cut your clothes up. And he said, "Well, actually, funny you should say that. Because she, he said, I've only been out with her for a few days, but she got a little bit, possessive." And I said, "Okay, I don't think it's in very good territory. I would leave that one behind." He ended up with that one was a medical bill that was a few thousand because she had a panic attack in another, not obviously in this country, it was in another country, and he'd only been out on 2 or 3 dates, and it ended up costing him a couple of £1,000. But the thing was, he said, "You know what, I'm thinking of giving that another try." I said, "Really?" "Well, it's quite nice." "Really?" And then we go through this discussion. He says, "All right, okay, no." I said, stop it. It's just because that's what you're used to. Now you have to enter a space of the unknown. And another example is a friend actually who I've known for a long time, and he went through various different relationships, and it got to the point where he'd say to me, "Why don't you talk to my girlfriend at the time?" And I said, "Because," it's a waste of time. getting friendly with them. He'd be like that. I said, because it's not going to last. It's obvious. And he'd be, but it might do. No, it's not. So in the end, he sort of worked out whether if I was going to bother talking to whatever relationship he was in. And it got to the stage where the years went past and he was thinking, well, no, I really want to meet someone. And I started getting photos. I started getting photos of different people, women that he was dating. And he sent one and he said, what do you think? And I said, well, this is fantastic, because you are now entering a space of the unknown. This person is like none of the other. It is completely different to every other person that you've presented to me before. Completely different. Their energy vibration is completely different. And this means that you are actually entering a territory that is completely unfamiliar to you, and you are now finally entering your truth, which is to resolve your emotional connection, emotional intimacy issue. That you're facing this. And he sort of went, so this is a good one then. I said, yes, you'll marry that one. Get married in September. So, what this is, when we're entering a space of the unknown, it is different, completely different to what you've experienced before. Okay, does that make sense? So this is how sometimes that the personality can masquerade as the soul, because we assume that the soul gives stillness. So how do we tell the difference? If we pop into the black hole every so often, you very quickly get to know the difference. Okay? Because your experience of going in there gets easier every single time. Okay? So, when it comes to it, it means feeling what we've ignored. Okay? So, going into the black hole is about feeling what we've ignored, what we've stuffed to one side. And this is why, quite often I'll make a joke of, or even in the very early stages of even psychic development, I'll say, go and clear out your cupboards. Why? Because you're starting to get a physical experience of what it's like to enter the black hole. Because you then begin to notice how you interact with those things that you're clearing out. Okay, does that make sense? You start to notice. It also means the release, okay? And what the release is the opening to the part that we're afraid others will see. Okay? So we all at some level are worried, hugely worried about some part of ourselves that others are going to see. We're going to be exposed. We're going to be vulnerable. We're going to be something or other. When you let yourself go into the black hole, you don't have this defense mechanism, because there isn't anything to defend. Do you see? But it doesn't mean then that you have no boundaries. It means that you have very clear boundaries, because you don't actually have to defend anything. So what do we fear the most? What we fear the most is not our dark side, because everyone knows the dark side. The human brain it's programmed to see the negative before it sees the positive. And that is a survival mechanism. Okay? We are programmed to see the negative before we see the positive. So we are very familiar with the dark side. What we're frightened of the most is the light.
When you say then what we are frightened, is that the personality in the monkey or in general?
Because you don't know what that outcome is. And I've deliberately chosen this picture because if I put, the light, going into the light, as in you think, oh look, I'm going into that 110 at the top, the whole self, nice. I've deliberately chosen this picture because it represents the light, as in you. You as center stage in your own life. So that picture, if you then place yourself in the middle there of that picture with the thoughts of the light on you, what's your immediate feeling? Okay? And that's the bit that's ready for resolution. Okay? Does that make sense?
For more great free content designed to support your purchase of my book, Highly Intuitive People, 7 Right Brain Traits to Change the Lives of Intuitive Sensitive People, please visit finallyfeelunderstood.com. There you can subscribe and download for free the meditation specific to today's episode. If you have already read the book, then it's time for you to receive exclusive access and support from me and your fellow intuitive sensitives as we go deeper together along this proven 7-step path by joining us in my monthly membership program called Heidi's Circle. There you can ask me anything in a safe and private environment, and I will answer you live. Join us today by visiting healmyinnerworld.com.